Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell, and in today's video, we're going to look at stakeholders, which is a person or group with a vested interest in the business. Now, that term vested is really important. What that means is that the success or failure of a business will have a significant impact on that particular person or group, and that's what a stakeholder is. Now, you'll study different businesses throughout the year, but that does not mean you are a stakeholder. Although you're taking an interest in that business while you're studying them, that does not necessarily mean you are a stakeholder because the success or failure doesn't really impact you. However, if you do have a vested interest, you are a stakeholder in that business. Now, the interest that stakeholders have will vary in businesses. So the different stakeholders have different interests, and we're going to look at those when we go through each stakeholder. And what happens is a manager, when they make decisions, they need to consider the interests of each of those stakeholders because a decision could impact one stakeholder group positively while another stakeholder negatively. And they need to consider those things when they make key decisions. And we say that stakeholders can come from the internal environment, which is from within the business, and they can also come from the external environment, which are stakeholders from outside the business. The first stakeholder we're going to look at are owners, which are those that own part of the business. So they're in control of the assets and they aim to make a profit through and a return on investment by owning that particular business because they're sharing in the profits. Now, depending on the business and the type of ownership that they have, the owner may have a really important role in terms of the day-to-day operations, or they may take a completely hands-off role in the day-to-day operations. So some owners that will be really heavily involved in the key decision making within the business because they want to set the direction because they know that they've got a significant stake in that business in terms of a financial stake and they want the business to make as much profit as possible. But there's many owners that only own a really small portion of the business and they're not involved in the key decisions at all or in the day-to-day operations. And now what you'll see on each of these slides is that they're in the blue, that is, we're talking about the interest of each stakeholder. So for owners, their interest is to receive a return on their investment and see growth in the business. So again, they get a greater return on the investment that they've put into that business. Our next stakeholder are managers, and they're the ones that are making the key decisions and leading the employees towards the business objectives. So they're really responsible for the day-to-day operations. And so whatever the owners and the directors are wanting the business to achieve, well, it's the managers that lead the employees to carry out those tasks towards meeting those objectives. So managers, we spoke about this before, they need to consider their impact or the impact of their decisions on all different stakeholders, including who they're responsible to, which are the owners. And in terms of their interests, well, their interest is to be involved in the decision making, working towards business objectives, but also receive fair remuneration for the leadership that they're actually undertaking. Now, in order to get anything done within a business, they will need employees. So they're the ones that are performing the tasks in exchange for a wage. So employees are performing all the work that's required in order for the business to achieve their objectives. So they're involved in training to improve their skills and abilities. They could be consulted or involved in decision making if that's the way the manager wants to make decisions. But these are the people that are performing the work. So obviously, really crucial stakeholder. Their interest as a result of the work that they do is to receive fair pay, good working conditions. They also want job security and career advancement opportunities. They may want to be involved in decision making so that they have a real say in the direction of the business and how things are actually done in their workplace. And the next stakeholder are the customers. And without customers, there is no business because a business, remember, is trying to sell goods and services in exchange for money. And so it needs someone to sell those goods and services to. And the customers are those that are actually purchasing those goods or services from the business. Now, they've got different needs and wants, and those needs and wants can change over time as society changes and their customer desires actually change. It's really important that a business understands what those needs and wants are and how they are changing over time so that they can therefore attract and remain really relevant to their customers. Now, the interest of their customers is to receive good quality products at fair prices and to receive really good, effective customer service. So that's one of their key interests. And it's important that the business and the managers are making key decisions that is going to satisfy that particular interest. Now, next stakeholder are the suppliers. So, suppliers are the businesses that are providing resources to the business to help them actually produce their good or service. In order to produce a good or service, businesses need resources, things such as materials, machinery, equipment, and finance. Those are the resources that they require. And obviously, depending on the type of business, the materials will be different, the machinery will be different, but these are the types of things that they require. And suppliers are the ones that provide the business with those. And because of globalization, suppliers can come from all over the world. It could be that the business uses really local suppliers, ones that are close by, or it could be they want to make use of suppliers from a completely different country where they can get higher quality or maybe cheaper supplies, whatever it is. But their suppliers can come from anywhere across the world. And so their interest within the business, a supplier's interest within the business, is to be paid promptly and fairly and to try and maintain a really positive relationship with the business so they continue that relationship over the long term and they continue to supply that business with their resources. Our final stakeholder for today is the general community. So, members of society, those that live in the area in which the business operates and sells its products. So, businesses can contribute really positively to a thriving community by offering employment opportunities, behaving ethically, supporting local events, considering, the community and environment in terms of the key decisions that they make. Because some businesses can impact the community negatively. It could be that they're just trying to sell their goods and services, they get rid of their waste within the local community, not in an ethical manner. But businesses can help also make a thriving community by providing those employment opportunities, which helps stimulate the local economy, behaving ethically, supporting those local events. That can make a really thriving community, which can also benefit the business because a thriving community is one that will come back to the business and purchase their goods and services. So it sort of goes both ways. So the interest of the community is for the business to support that local community by offering employment opportunities and being environmentally friendly and ethically responsible. Being a really good citizen within the community is what the general community is after from a business. One of the key elements of our study design is to understand the potential conflicts between the interests of different stakeholders. So, as we've seen, the interests of different stakeholders will vary. So, they've got a different interest within the business and they can come into conflict at times. So, as we've spoken about, managers need to consider the interests of each stakeholder. Now, if we look here at employees, well, their interest is to receive fair pay, good conditions of work, whereas customers want good quality at fair prices. So, the employees, let's say they want to demand higher salary, the cost of living is increasing, and so they're saying, well, we need more money. So they want higher wages. Now, it could be that the business really values their employees. And so they go, yep, absolutely. We want to provide you what you desire and make you really happy. So therefore, you'll be working hard. And as a result of increasing their wages and providing better conditions, those business expenses will increase. Now, how does a business offset those increased expenses? It could be that they decide to increase the prices of the products that they are selling, and as a result of that, that starts to come into conflict with the interests of the customers, which is to receive good quality but at fair prices. And so, because the prices are increasing, as a result of the employees demanding higher wages, well, there's a conflict in the interests, and there, as we've spoken about, the decisions that managers need to make, they need to consider the interests of those different stakeholders. But what you need to be able to do is explain the conflicting or the potential conflicts between the interests of different stakeholders. And that's one example between the employees and the customers. So, just to recap, stakeholders are the people or groups that have a vested interest in the business. And there are 6 key stakeholders in our study design that we looked at, which are owners, managers, employees, customers, suppliers, and the general community. And just make sure that you understand that there are some conflicts between the interests of different stakeholders and that you are able to describe some of those. So, that brings us to the end of this video. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Just remember, for questions, activities, and help in your VCE journey, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.